What's going on? What's going on? This Kane's Chronicle, starting a new YouTube channel, man. Everything about the Miami Hurricanes football team. Um, this is my first episode today. Kind of stoked about that. So let's get it started. What we want to talk about. What news happened with the Hurricanes today? Isaiah Horton signed his papers to officially be able to go into the transfer portal. What are my feelings about that? I think, now NCAA college football is the wild, wild west. The NIL deal opened up a portal, if you will, opened up a portal, no pun intended. And it's kind of just crazy now. I don't blame Horton for kind of trying to test the waters and see what he can get, how much he's worth, what's the value that he has on the open market. But kind of that's the thing we're dealing with in sports now, where coaches got to recruit the players to come. You have to develop the players. You have to recruit players to stay. And ultimately, what the NIL has done, and which we've seen a lot of teams do now, is they have GMs because it's professional sports. From that standpoint, where you have, let's say, a university has 10 million allocated to NIL funds for football, you have a roster, and you have to figure out how to manage that. What's most important? If you're getting a transfer quarterback in the portal, I think they running for $1 million. So that's a tenth, and that's if you have 10 million. But if you have 10 million, that's a tenth of your money right then and there is gone to the portal, to your quarterback. So I think a lot of those things like that is what we're seeing now, and we're seeing this boil over. Now, as a Miami Hurricanes fan, I think that it can get frustrating because we've got players from other schools, but it seems as if though the players that are coming from other schools that we get, they're pretty good players there, but our best players when they leave, or our better players leaving, then the Georgia and the Alabama get those guys, if that makes sense, right? So we're going to get a guy maybe from a Georgia or Alabama that hasn't been playing a lot, another SEC schools, maybe some ACC schools. But just like last year, we lost Kobe Young. Can you imagine what Cam Ward would have been able to do with a Kobe Young, a 6'5" receiver? That's jump balls. That's an entirely different element to our offense. And then this year you had Zay Horton, who had about 5 or 6 touchdowns, I think about 600 yards or something receiving. And not to mention, like 3 or 4 of his touchdowns got called back. The dude is an absolute baller. But he, of course, wants to see how much he's worth in the open market. So we have that. Some of the other things that they're to discuss that people are talking about right now is the quarterback situation. I know a few names that have been mentioned is Mendoza, John Mateer, as well as we have Emory Williams on the roster. So some people are saying, let's just allocate our resources to the defensive side of the ball. I have more or less statements to this and not necessarily an opinion either way it goes, and here's why. Last year, everyone was saying stick with Ja'Cory Brown. Cam Ward was playing around. We don't need to spend that much money for a quarterback. And we see what Cam Ward was able to bring. And we were able to see if we didn't have Cam Ward, where we probably would have been. And you could see kind of what Ja'Cory Brown did at UCF this year. He didn't really kill or anything like that. So, so that was a good move. So we don't get paid to be able to make these decisions. That's why Mario Cristobal is paid $8 million a year, and he hired the people he hired because they're able to make those decisions, because we can't see all into the program and everything that's happening. We can't see maybe when we're saying we don't need to go after a receiver. We don't know the conversations that's happening internally. We don't know if receivers, internally are basically walking out of the door and they have a beat on that, so they know that they need to go get received. We don't know. We're just fans looking from the outside, as well as kind of giving perspective. Another topic that people have mentioned recently was, should Cam Ward and Restrepo and Jalen Rivers, etc., play in the bowl game? I mean, if Cam Ward and Restrepo wants to sit out Jalen Rivers, I'm not mad. Now, the person I would say I don't think they should play at all is Elijah Arroyo. Just given his injury history, it's not the same as if he plays. Like, If Restrepo plays, he's just adding to his records, right? Like every catch he makes is boosting his record, every receiving yard, every touchdown. So for him, it's still like breaking his record. For Cam Ward, it's the same thing because he set the single season touchdown record, single season total touchdown record, single season passing touchdown record. That's what I meant to say first, as well as the amount of yards thrown in a season. He set a bunch of Miami records. So everything he does additionally is just boosting those records. So I can understand those if they would like to play. Elijah Royal, I would say for him to sit out because I don't see it benefiting him to play. And another topic was the young guys. Should the young guys get opportunities? I think the young guys should get opportunities, absolutely. I think they should play. From what I heard, the knockers, the JoJo traders have been balling in practice throughout the entire year, which, Mario Cristobal comes from the Nick Saban's tree. And, Alabama had studs galore. They had, like, if you were a freshman, I'm sorry, but unless you were like I mean, you were sitting behind an All-American sophomore and an All-American junior future, and you were going to be the third All-American out of the group. Like, it was just, that's how the chips fell at Alabama. And Mario Cristobal learned under Nick Saban, so I see that he has some of those same, philosophies and strategies. Only issue I think there is this is a new day and age, so kids aren't really going to sit 2 years and maybe start playing their junior year. You have NIL now. You have, kids walking away from schools if they aren't promised certain things. They aren't promised this amount of money. They aren't promised to play on third down. It's like a lot going on. But I would definitely like to see JoJo Trader. I like to see Nat Carr on the field. I like to see Ray Joseph. I'd also like us to recruit and get us a true slot receiver. Not saying that Ray can't play it, but when I'm talking about a true slot receiver, I'm talking about a LaJohntay Webster, or a Jimmy Horn. And the reason I'm saying those guys is because when you look at them in the kick return element of the game, the punt return, they have an element of speed and decisiveness that we kind of didn't have in our return game. What I mean by that, Chris Johnson was a very fast player, but his in-game speed was a little slow in terms of decisiveness, knowing where to go, things like that. Like, it was choppy, which made his full track speed not even available because it's rare that he was able to get to that straight line speed because he didn't have the decisiveness to get there. And then we also have Ray Joseph on punt return. I don't think necessarily all of that is his problem. I think part of it is the scheme of the special teams where we run like this weird spread special teams that doesn't really look like it gives the punter any space to return. Every time it looked like Ray Joseph caught a punt and he could have returned it, it was like 6 people right there. So, I don't know who you thought he was. I don't know if you thought he was Devin Hester Jr., but even Devin Hester wasn't 6 people in his face every time he caught the ball. So I think part of that is the special teams kind of break out. And as you can see, this is my first episode, so I'm going through every topic that I've recently just thought about or had conversations about. Another conversation we had recently is the Heisman with Cam Ward. Shout out to Travis Hunter. I think he's a heck of a ball player. He's one of one. He's so athletic. He's fast. He's very, very smart player. I don't, as people talk about him as a cornerback, I don't think he's that polished from a technician standpoint, but he's very smart. Like he knows how to manipulate quarterbacks, and if you remember the pick he had against TCU last year down on the goal line, that's a smart player. The pick he had against UCF where he was kind of in between 3 offensive players and he let off the first one enough so the quarterback thought that's the pass to go to and he came and jumped. That's a smart defensive player. So shout out to Travis Hunter, man. He had an amazing season. Dope dude. I do think that Cam Ward kind of gets snubbed because of Miami bias a little bit. What I mean by that is Cam Ward was clearly the best quarterback in college football this year, hands down. And that's nothing to take away from Shedeur Sanders because I think Shedeur is number 2. I think Shedeur is a great player. I think they do great things, but differently. I think Shedeur is a better like just pocket passer. I think that Shador deep ball down the field is a little bit better than Cam Ward's. Like the ball that has to travel in the air 40, 50 yards. Like I don't really see him ever overthrow those. When we had to throw passes that were like 45, 50 yards in the air, 55, Cam Ward would typically be off the mark a little bit on those. So I think that Shador had Cam there, but the improvisation, Cam was next to none. I think he's one-on-one in that regard. And Shador had some improv too, but Cam Ward was completely different. He was a beast, and yeah, he was that kind of guy. I think he was robbed in this sense though. For him to have won the Maxwell Award, for him to have led the country in basically every statistical stat as a quarterback, the only one I think he didn't lead in was like the amount of yards thrown. I think Kyle McCord led in that. But for him to lead basically in every statistical stat category, for his team to be top 10 for more than half of the year, for even in his games where we didn't win, we lost by a total of 9 points, for some of the epic comebacks he had, for some of the epic throws he had, for him to lose the Golden Arm Award to Shador, I thought that was already like Shador had a good year, but I was like, okay, I see what's going on. Politics as usual. But okay, I get it. But take nothing from Shador. He's a good player. But the part where it got confusing was, so Cam then comes back and win the Maxwell Award, which is given to the best quarterback. So I'm like, okay, he's the best quarterback, but didn't win the Golden Arm. Interesting. But then Heisman, he's in 4th place. Dylan Gable's in 3rd place. So you mean to tell me Dylan Gable, who didn't win the Maxwell Award, didn't win the Golden Arm Award, but he's higher in the Heisman ranking? And even though they all have different governing bodies who come up with these votes, etc., the Miami bias is real. They wanted Miami to lose the entire year. Every game, people were essentially against Miami, even though people had to tune in and watch it. Every game, people were essentially against Miami. When we lost to Georgia Tech, that last drive when Cam Ward fumbled, I remember it. The announcers were super against Miami. Then one announcer was like, if Cam Ward wants the Heisman, this is the moment he needs to do it. I was like, wait, when he played Virginia Tech, y'all said that was the Heisman moment. When he had to come back against Cal, you guys said that was the Heisman moment. When he had the 52 points that he put on Louisville, you guys said that was the Heisman moment. So I'm like, why is it every moment or everything comes up, it's like, if he doesn't do it this time, then he's not worthy? Like, I think that kind of bias was out the entire year. Then when he wound up losing the Georgia Tech game, and then we had the bye week, he was just out of the Heisman for a little bit. I just thought that was kind of crazy. But as you can see, I'm touching a bunch of different topics. I'm just excited to launch this YouTube channel and just give my thoughts on things Miami Hurricanes, from, the players we're getting, what I'm observing, what my thoughts are on moves, what my thoughts are on games, what happened, my instant reactions, just the whole nine. I'm excited. Look for a great journey with this and just having fun. Hopefully I'm able to connect with some Canes fans, and we're able to do some great things here, able to connect with some other people who have channels, whether it's podcasters, whatever, and just talk Canes, man. Go Canes, always. Pack the rock next year. Let's have fun. Everything Canes. Throw to you up, baby.